Hi everybody, I'm Patrick Dockery. In my life, I have worn many hats and tasted many flavors. As I travel the world, I explore the finest cities in search for culture, history, and great food. Along the way, I get to meet today's most interesting celebrities, focusing on the positive side of life, allowing them to share their causes, charities, and what truly fascinates them. We cook and dine with some of the finest chefs of our time, preparing healthy and delicious meals in some of the hottest restaurants. Also, we showcase the latest, most creative, and hippest trends of beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. I pursue my passion for health and fitness and acquire some of the most innovative wellness strategies. And now I want to share this all with you. So come along on this amazing journey, and together we will experience a world of health, beauty, and life. On today's show, we meet CrossFitting chiropractor Dr. Robert Walcher, who informs us on his ever-growing love for CrossFit, how eating paleo changed his life, and how regular visits to a chiropractic specialist keeps him training daily. Then we're off to Seattle, Washington, where we take a ride up the iconic Space Needle and find out the views aren't the only thing the Space Needle has to offer. SkyCity, the Needle's very own fine dining restaurant, also offers spectacular views of the city in its 360-degree rotating dining room and features culinary inspirations found only at the top of the city. Next, we head to the Museum of History and Industry, better known as MOHAI. It's here on the shores of Lake Union in Seattle that we discover just how much the Pacific Northwest has contributed to make our world a better place. But first, let's meet Dr. Robert Walcher. Dr. Walcher is one of those unique individuals that actually practices what he preaches. We had the distinct pleasure of spending some time with Dr. Walcher in his office, as well as in the gym, where he shared with us some of the indicators and signs in our lives and bodies that might be telling us something is wrong.
Basically, we are under three types of stress at all times, some more so than others. We have emotional stress, we have physical stress, and we have chemical stress. So emotional obviously is thinking about, finances, kids, work. Physical is car accidents, falls, crossing our legs, wearing a wallet in our back pocket, wearing a purse on our shoulder, sleeping on our stomach, things that we're doing every day. Yeah. And they have chemical stress, which is toxins, pollutants in the air, alcohol, drugs, medications, diet, sugar. Those are all chemical stress. So these stressors build up on our spine and they affect how our nervous system communicates with our body. This then creates symptoms: muscle tension, spasm, weakness, fatigue. Also health concerns like digestion issues, asthma, allergies. All these are just your body's warning signal that something is not working properly. Right. And so what we do as chiropractors is we address one's spine and nervous system because these stressors are unavoidable, right?
Just living day-to-day life.
Exactly. So they're unavoidable. And so chiropractic is really about performance, allowing your body, your nervous system to work to its best ability. Yeah. That's why you see all these major athletes have chiropractors in their life, so they can perform better. Well, this goes for everyone. UPS drivers should have a chiropractor, the dentist should have, everyone needs a chiropractor.
With a physique that is hard to ignore, Dr. Walcher has always been in the gym, but it wasn't until he discovered CrossFit a few years ago that he truly maximized his physical prowess.
It's just so opposite than your typical going to a gym where you are looking in the mirror doing bicep curls. Here you're actually not even worried about your body. Right. You just do these activities and you get in, your body transforms to its genetic potential. Right. You're doing body weight movement, functional movements, multi-joint movements. You're not just doing an isolated movement, you're doing several joint movements, and so your body does transform to how it's supposed to be.
And being a chiropractor, which I'm fascinated by that we have you, this is so great that we have a guy that's in great shape that actually has some knowledge of body mechanics. I mean, a lot of the things that we have to worry about are body alignment, correct body alignment.
If your body is not in proper position and you are then putting a tremendous amount of stress on your spine, you're absolutely prone to injury because your muscles strengthen, they overcompensate, they elongate due to these misplaced vertebrae or hips. And so it's absolutely critical that your spine's in proper alignment.
You got to be consistent with everything, with eating, taking care of your body, taking care of your spine, working out. All that stuff. It's all part of it. You do it consistently, day after day, year after year, and you really can see major changes in your life 5 years down the road when you're doing positive things as opposed to, you know, detrimental things.
Absolutely. And you know, that's the thing, getting that mindset right, moving towards health, fitness, and wellness overall.
Yeah. Functional strength, we call
Correct.
it. I mean, when am I going and doing bicep curls outside? You know, with CrossFit, we are actually developing functional strength. So when I'm moving from a different house, I feel a lot more confident moving that sofa into the truck. And,
twisting,
you know,
pushing,
the things
moving.
I can do now are incredible. I don't even need help anymore. I just lift the whole sofa. It's
Damn,
pretty cool.
there you go. That's how you moved all that
That's
stuff
another
here.
reason to join CrossFit.
So you're living the life, you're doing the things, and you're a great example for people, and we really appreciate the fact that you are doing that.
Well, a lot of people ask me, you know, the CrossFit affiliate that I go to, or friends, like how do you stay in such great shape? I mean, you look young, and I mean, I do believe chiropractic is a gigantic reason for that. I mean, not only by staying injury-free, but just allowing, again, my nervous system to work optimally is allowing my body to communicate optimally.
Yeah, well, when the energy's flowing, like say through your spine, flows through your whole body, you think better, you feel better, and obviously you perform better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see people that practice what they preach. It's so important.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Patrick.
And thank you so much for being here with us. And until next time, just remember to enjoy. Stick around. We're heading to the top at the Space Needle. We're back at the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington. The city of Seattle is internationally recognized by its one-of-a-kind skyline and the iconic Space Needle soaring high above. At 520 feet, the Space Needle's observation deck is the perfect place to see all this great city has to offer from every angle. From the bustling city below to distant mountain ranges, including Mount Rainier to Elliott Bay and more, discover why the Space Needle is a definite must-see while in Seattle. And Karen, what's your position here?
I am Vice President of Marketing.
Ooh, you're a bigwig. So I got the big dog.
Yeah.
That's right. So
I like wig better than dog.
Yeah, okay, bigwig.
Yeah.
So we're here at the very top. Is this the very top or can you go higher?
It's the very top for guests. You can go higher.
Okay, and then what's on the very top?
The very top is just a lot of our HD cameras and then a flagpole.
And that's what we have here. I noticed there's a part of the exhibit is you can actually spin those cameras around and take a look and zoom in and all
see Seattle. Yeah.
Amazing.
So it's the best point in Seattle to see the city.
Inside, you will find interactive exhibits showcasing interesting facts about the Space Needle.
Yeah, it's all about space and innovation. So in the 60s, it was a space race. And so the whole expo was about the new era of space. And so they called it the Space Needle. And ever since then, we've got the spirit of ingenuity, innovation, how to build and grow. So the vision of what's next.
Okay. And then what, it rotates. Does this part rotate as well?
This doesn't, just the restaurant. The restaurant rotates every 47 minutes. The observation deck doesn't, but you can walk around and get the full 360 view of Seattle. It's away from downtown, so you get the unobstructed view, you get the sounds of the water, the mountain ranges, Mount Rainier. So it's a great way. If you haven't been to Seattle, if you want to go to one place to see everything, this is where Seattle starts.
And this is where people always go when they come to Seattle. This is like the spot, quintessential Seattle spot.
1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, come to the Needle. You'll see all of Seattle.
Wow. And then tell us what we're going to see. Like, I know out that way we're looking at what is that area?
Yeah, that's the Sound, and that's the Elliott Bay. And so it's actually ocean water, although we're about 3 hours from the coast. You see all the mountain ranges, so the Olympic Peninsula. Down south, you see Mount Rainier, so we have active volcanoes near Seattle. Yeah.
And then I know we have the technological area back behind us.
Yep, you can see the Gates Foundation, you can see where Grey's Anatomy was on TV, you can see our sister city, Bellevue, across the way, you can see ferries crossing the water, seaplanes taking off. You can see almost every flavor of Seattle from here.
And then the Amazon complex is down there.
Amazon campus you can see from here, and it grows daily.
That's what they say, yeah. And then you've got a freshwater lake right behind us. And what's the name of that lake?
South Lake Union. Okay. And that's where the seaplanes take off from.
Okay.
So if you want to go up to the San Juan Islands, you can take a seaplane from the lake. You can take a ferry to the islands. It's an amazing place to travel and explore.
So now, this was built in 1962 for the World's Fair. Okay. Yeah. And I noticed on the far side, there's the complex of where the World Fair was. And I know they had some kind of different kinds of fountains and things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they built the whole Seattle Center for the World's Fair, and some of the structures still remain. So the Space Needle, the International Fountain, the Science Center, the Pavilion, the monorail that goes from downtown to the Space Needle, all still here from the World's Fair.
Wow, that's fascinating. You know, I know that you get a lot of visitors here. Like, what's a peak visit day?
A peak day might be 8,000 in a day.
So how do you do it?
luckily they don't come all at once, which is great. And then we also have time ticketing, so you can reserve your launch time, so you can reserve when you come up, and so it's not a crowded experience. So it can handle throughout the day a lot of people. And since we're so far north, we have really long summer evenings, and so we're open until midnight. The sun sets at 10 p.m. at night, and so we have a day-night visit. You can come during the day, and then come at night and see the sunset. So there's a lot of opportunities to visit and see Seattle. And so if you plan your trip well, you'll have a great experience that's not too crowded.
Great. And then do you guys have a website where people can go?
We do. So spaceneedle.com.
Spaceneedle.com. Okay.
Yeah. And you actually can see some of the webcams from top. So if you want to see.
You can actually view these webcams.
Yeah.
It's similar to what we're doing.
Yeah. So the seaplanes that land, they actually will look at our cameras and see how the weather is before they fly to South Lake Union.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Remember on your way out to grab a souvenir from the Space Needles gift shop. This expansive shop encompasses the entire base floor of the Space Needle. From one-of-a-kind souvenirs and trinkets to Space Needle fudge, you will definitely want to grab a keepsake to remember your time at the Space Needle. This place is impressive to say the least.
Thanks, Patrick.
And it's rain or shine, come on up, because you can be covered or you can go outside, and it's always a good view, isn't it?
Right.
No matter what. So make sure to get out here, and until next time, just remember to enjoy. Up next, SkyCity Restaurant at the top of the Space Needle. Welcome back with a view from the top at SkyCity. For an entirely new dining experience, we strongly suggest you visit SkyCity at the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington. Here you can experience the freshest seafood taken right from the Puget Sound area, prepared by Chef Jeff Maxfield, all while sitting 500 feet above the city in a panoramic rotating dining room for your dining and viewing pleasure. Famous for having his creations featured at the prestigious James Beard House in October of 2013, Chef Maxfield sat with us to discuss his cooking philosophy and to take in the breathtaking views of SkyCity's rotating dining room. This is a busy venue. I mean, I know that I was hearing that people going up just to see the Space Needle and the observation decks, up to 7,000 people.
7,000 a day.
In a day?
Since I've been here, our record I think is close to 10,000. So you can imagine the volume that we do, and you know, to really be able to continue our mission with the food that we do in that high volume is a challenge.
I know one of the unique things is that you use locally grown, seasonal type items, correct?
Being a high volume restaurant, it's a challenge to bring in local asparagus in the spring and have some farmer that's going to be able to supply us with 60 pounds a day. You know, another big passion of mine is sustainability. So we, only source seafood that's, sustainably caught, beef that is antibiotic free and hormone free.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're doing a great job. Now, you had made a couple of beautiful creations for us to take a look at, and we can go over those, and
absolutely,
let's do that.
What we've got is a spinach salad, goat cheese fritter, that oozy goat cheese. We've got heirloom spinach, so it's a red varietal spinach. We've got lamb bacon, which is a very unique product. This is actually lamb bellies that a rancher does for us that he cures, and we use locally grown hazelnuts. We're one of the largest producing regions of hazelnuts in the world. And then we bring it all together with a pear dressing. This is albacore tuna. Albacore come up and feed in the fall, usually late summer, fall, into Washington State. In my opinion, some of the best tuna in the world. What we do is chop it up raw and then marinate it with a little bit of apple cider, olive oil. We serve with some crimson beets. There's a little bit of lemon zest on there and some fresh
dill,
fennel.
It looks like fennel.
A little fennel, and then this is fennel pollen. So,
God. What's this?
This is forest mushrooms. So these are all those locally foraged mushrooms we're talking about. There's lobster mushrooms in here that are really only available, late summer. Yeah. And then we've got chanterelles. The little sauce on the plate is actually a Douglas fir gastrique. So what we do is we take Douglas fir needles and we make a tea out of it. Add a little bit of Douglas fir eau de vie, which is a liqueur, woodsy, kind of flavor. So everything that's on this dish, you would find if you went for, a foraging walker. Very unique combination. Yeah, it's very creative. Last dish is a signature that we do here, and these are what we call mocha braised short ribs. So we take Northwest grown beef and a short rib, and we brine it in coffee. And sits in coffee and a little cardamom, some cinnamon stick and onion overnight, and then we braise it with chocolate, red wine, and veal stock. it's still one of my favorites. I order it when I come into the restaurant to eat.
Well, people got to get out here, and I wanted to let them know too, we're sitting here still right now, but this actually rotates.
Yeah, the dining room rotates around the center of the building, so it's just the floor, so it's the windows into the center wall. Rotates one rotation every about 45 minutes.
Okay. Every visit to SkyCity includes a free trip to the observation deck. So after dinner, take a short elevator ride up and enjoy the Emerald City in all its glory. The perfect end to the perfect evening.
You've got the city and the east side with the Cascade Mountain Range on this end, and you cruise over Puget Sound and you see West Seattle and the Olympic Mountains beyond that. Then you cruise to the north end, and on a clear day you can see Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Baker, all the Olympic Mountain Range. It's just incredible, and it's breathtaking every time we take that elevator up to work and seeing this view and coming out to the dining room. It is breathtaking.
I'll tell you, if I lived here, I would eat here once a week because it would be a different experience every time. Not only the view, but the food as well. That's and your creations are incredible. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. And thank you so much for being here. And until next time, just remember to enjoy. Coming up next, MOHAI in Seattle, Washington. We're back at the Museum of History and Industry. MOHAI, or the Museum of History and Industry, is respected nationally and treasured locally as a dynamic, innovative museum where historical exploration inspires people to create a better future for themselves and their communities. We met with Leonard Garfield to learn why MOHAI is such an important asset to the city. And we discovered just how much this great area contributed to the success of our future. Now, tell me, MOHAI, what does that stand for?
Well, it stands for Museum of History and Industry. And really what it is the story of Seattle. Everything about this place, what makes it special, what makes it exciting. You can go way back into our history, but you can also take a look at our future. Things to explore, things to discover. Lots of fun really for everybody. Kids all the way up to people older than us.
So let's go over some of the high points. I know we said let's pick the top 5 things here. I know it's not everything, but let's pick the top 5 and walk us through them.
I think I would start thousands of years ago and look at our Native American history. Seattle has been around for millennia. It actually was named for a native chief, Chief Seattle, and we've got some great things in the museum that talk about those first Seattleites, the Duwamish and the Suquamish people. The native people taught the later arrivals, the Americans and the Europeans and the Asians, how to fish, how to live with the natural bounty of the Northwest. So we really owe a lot to our native culture.
Okay, and then what would be next?
Next I think I'd leapfrog into history, the very first commercial plane ever made by Boeing.
Oh my goodness.
They call it the B-1, Boeing's first. This plane took off and it really launched the aviation era, and it really changed Seattle forever.
It looks scary. I mean, now probably back in that day that was state of the art, but boy, I can imagine getting in that thing.
Well, it's kind of a flying boat. In fact, boat builders built the fuselage and sailmakers made the wings. And it took off on the water right in front of the museum, and on its very first maiden voyage, it landed on this very flight path 30 years before this building was even constructed.
Well, and speaking of Boeing, that still is a big part of the city.
Oh, absolutely. Thousands of folks in our region work for Boeing, and we all really root for Boeing. Of course, it's the world's great airplane maker still, and it's a great part of Seattle history.
Wow. So, it's funny, when I was walking around the museum, I realized how many things technologically came from this area.
We're a hotbed of innovation. It's not just Boeing, it's businesses like Costco started here in Seattle.
That's right.
Starbucks, you love coffee? Of course, Amazon.com, that's a Seattle company, and of course, Microsoft. And in fact, if I were to pick a third stop, I'd take a look at our Microsoft collection. Because really the idea of putting a computer on every desk and having the software that allowed us to do everything from that computer really was born here in the Seattle area with Microsoft, and we've got some great stuff in the museum to tell that story.
I didn't realize how many businesses had spun off just from the Microsoft itself.
Yeah, it's really pretty amazing. You came up to Seattle, you might have booked your flight on Expedia. It was an outgrowth of Microsoft. You might have done all kinds of things online. A lot of those businesses started right here as outgrowths of Microsoft. So we've really used innovation here to cultivate an entire economy. And in fact, a little more than 50 years ago, we had a World's Fair in Seattle, 1962. It was called Century 21. We were already looking to the future. And that's where a lot of these early ideas of innovation took root. And we have a whole section here at MOHAI that talks about the World's Fair and some of the great ideas that grew out of that back in the 1960s.
You know, and people don't realize Seattle is also a hotbed for music and culture.
It really is. And if you go back a few years, you remember that we were the leaders in the grunge music scene. Nirvana and all those great groups. We still are music leaders. Macklemore, for example, is a Seattle artist, and we have a whole section in the museum that talks about our music history, our art history, the roots of culture in Seattle, which really are very interesting, and in some cases have had an international impact.
So now, where are we actually right now? I know we're near the Space Needle, because when I was out in the parking lot, I saw it. Now, what area is this actually where we are?
So this part of Seattle is a neighborhood called South Lake Union, and it's really a booming part of the city. Long time ago, 100 years ago, it was kind of the industrial backwater. It's where the first timber mills were and where some of the industrial boat building took place. But these days, it's the headquarters of Amazon.com, of the Gates Foundation.
I saw it right over there, yeah.
Absolutely. Microsoft has offices here, and as you mentioned, we're not too far from the Space Needle itself. So South Lake Union is really in the center of Seattle. Lots of excitement, lots of great restaurants, and a beautiful lake right outside our front door.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Well, thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for coming.
This place is absolutely mind-boggling, and folks should realize that this is something they can bring the whole family to, have a day or two.
Absolutely, for the whole family, and we welcome everyone to come down.
Great, well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here with us today. And until next time, just remember to
enjoy.
Okay, welcome back. Thanks to all of our guests on this week's show. And until next time, just remember to enjoy.